Toronto Raptors dismantle the Hawks in their season opener. 7 players scored in double digits. The Raptors scored 138 points. The Hawks defense was Swiss cheese. Let's go to the film room.
The only thing that's originally filmed is that Scottie. And I've studied older films and tried to figure out how I got that impression. I always get amazed when I'm in the cutting room.
The unique thing about film is an art form
exactly.
is the editing.
RJ Barrett scored 25 points for the Toronto Raptors and led all scorers, and he did it on just 12 shots. The variety of ways he scored the basketball last night was incredibly impressive. He knocked down 2 catch-and-shoot threes early in the game, which showed off his ability to space the floor. He dove to the basket as a roller, working in the short mid-range area. He thrived in transition, as he usually does as a play finisher, and he operated in pick and rolls, finding ways to create his own shots as well. This was the full package from what RJ Barrett can provide offensively for this Toronto Raptors team on a night-to-night basis. And with the amount of talent that they have, he stands to benefit the most when it comes to just getting buckets, because that's what RJ Barrett does. As we welcome you inside the film room, apologies if my voice is gone a little bit. We had a lot of fun at the Pint Public House. Thank you for everybody who showed up. Thank you for everybody who came and hung out with us, talked basketball. It was a really, really fun night, save for a few technical difficulties. I'm sure Trey and Samson will talk to you guys about that. It was awesome. Thank you very much for coming, for anybody who did come. And for the people who didn't come out to the next one, man. It was a lot of fun. It was cool. What a game for the Toronto Raptors. As we welcome you into the film room, make sure to like, comment, subscribe, do all the things you guys do to make sure this gets out to other people who might be interested in Raptors stuff as well. Incredible game where we saw the picture-perfect version of what this Toronto Raptors team can be. 7 guys in double digits, 3 20-point scorers in Scottie Barnes, RJ Barrett, and Gradey Dick. The defense was obviously magnificent. They forced the Hawks into 15 turnovers. They dominated in the paint. And the craziest part is they scored 138 points while still, despite just making 6 threes in the entire game. It showed that they leaned into their defensive identity, running in transition. The hit-ahead passes were incredibly important, where their offensive actions would basically start at half court because of the hit-ahead passes that they were making. It was really, really fun stuff from a Raptors team that just looked incredibly locked in to play the Hawks, who, by the way, genuinely one of the worst defensive performances I've seen from the Hawks over the last few years. They're not a good defensive team either way, just because they've had to deal with, like, you know, Trae Young and how are we going to survive and et cetera, et cetera. And they've had some holes to fill on the defensive end, but that was genuinely an embarrassing defensive performance from the Hawks. And I don't say that lightly, because I mean, like many people coming into this year, thought the Hawks would be a pretty good team. Maybe they will be a good team. Maybe they figure it out. But that game was not the game to believe in terms of a blueprint for what this Hawks team is. It was atrocious defensively. They're going to be in the film room a lot. And speaking of the film room, let's push this thing along. We got more stuff to break down. Scottie Barnes was electric in this game. 22 points, 9 assists, 6 rebounds, 3 stocks, and he did it on 14 shots in 32 minutes. So Scottie, again, I think offensively, you could look at a much more efficient offensive game. The early seals in transition, to finish on easy shots. He dominated in terms of getting easy opportunities in and around the basket. If you look at his shot diet, he only took 3 shots outside of the paint. And most of them were, when he was kind of countering the barreling to the basket that he usually does. So Scottie really took advantage of the Hawks' lackluster defense, especially in that painted area. He was aggressive when he had the opportunity to do so. And even in transition, in situations where, he might have settled in the past, he was finding ways to bully his way to the basket, which is really, really good. It's a great sign for Scottie. And still, he finds a way to counter with that mid-range jump shot. I think also on top of everything else, Scottie's playmaking in this was incredible. The 9 assists led every single player tonight, including Hawks players, being the connective tissue of the Raptors offense in transition, in the half court, finding people, finding players, and making plays. And a lot of why the Raptors succeeded offensively was because Scottie was everything you'd want him to be from Scottie Barnes. You got everything you wanted out of Scottie Barnes. The play finishing, a guy who was working and operating as a roller, who was using his aggressiveness and his physicality to finish in and around the basket, using his impressive touch and feel to make plays for others in the short roll area. All of those things were present, and he didn't even have to take a three-point shot at all. He didn't have to space the floor because he was so abundantly aggressive. There were a couple plays there where he attacked the closeout, drove, right? And because of the attention that kind of created, the gravity that created, he was able to dump it off to Jakob Poeltl, or he was able to kick it out to RJ Barrett. So many opportunities for the Raptors offense when a guy like Scottie Barnes is incredibly aggressive. Look, the good times keep rolling here. So I want to keep going because I thought Gradey Dick also had basically the perfect Gradey Dick game. For a guy who's a 6-man, for him to come in and score 21 points on 10 shots was incredible. Obviously, knocking down his threes was a big point of emphasis heading into this year, and he knocked down 2 of 4. But he's also aggressive at attacking closeouts and working in the mid-range area, something we saw from him develop last year. He also ended up taking 8 free throws, which shows you the level of aggression that he has when it comes to attacking closeouts, barreling to the basket, and being willing to putting his body on the line in order to score the ball. So you look at versatility in the way that Gradey is able to impact the game when he's playing with more talented players. It looks like efficient shots like tonight. Catch and shoot opportunities, of course, but also working in similar actions to Brandon Ingram. As crazy as that sounds, to work off of 2 pin downs, come, catch, shoot, right? Or situations where it's like a dribble handoff and he can make a play for himself. Or defense is collapsing in, he attacks a closeout, he drives to the basket, draws a foul. He's so willing to be physical, and I think that's an incredible trait to have for him as a player because all the other stuff should come along. I do believe in the jump shot. I think the jump shot will be good. I think he's in for a good season because of the amount of talent that he has around him. RJ is very similar. All of these players get knocked down a peg because of Brandon Ingram's presence. And speaking of Brandon Ingram's presence, wasn't the most efficient night for BI, 16 points on 16 shots. And so you look at it and say, all right, well, he wasn't the guy that was going tonight. But man, every time he scored the ball, it looked absolutely effortless. It was something of beauty. And I've talked about this staggered pin down play and how it's just an automatic bucket for Brandon Ingram. He can basically work in these actions and work within the seams of the offense to get about 12 to 13 points a night. And honestly, he can do much more than that. I think part of the fact that this Raptors team has so many offensive options, especially with the way that they want to play fast, up-tempo, run and gun style, it just feeds to them being able to kind of it's not going to be one consistent guy on a night-to-night basis. Tonight it was RJ Barrett who led the team. Scottie Barnes had 22. Maybe against the Bucks, it'll be Brandon Ingram who leads the team in scoring, and Scottie will be second or RJ will be second. There are just so many different variety. There's an option here for the Raptors is the way I'm trying to talk about this. What a game. What a game. Absolutely awesome. And I'm at the point where how excited should we be about a team that just blew the doors off the Hawks? Like, it wasn't even a competition. I think in that third quarter, how much points did the Raptors score in that third quarter? They scored 45 points in that third quarter. It was just an onslaught. And, I should mention the fact that Jamal Shed was incredible in this game as well. I thought he did a really good job of setting the tone offensively. He was great defensively, staying connected at the point of attack, especially against Trae Young, who I don't think had the greatest game ever. 22 points and 5 of 14 for Trae Young, who just looked really, really abysmal. I thought Jalen Johnson was the best player on the floor for the Hawks tonight. Maybe Zachary Risache as well, who ended up with 16. But the Raptors got a lot of good contributions from their bench tonight. Gradey Dick was obviously the main guy, but Jamal Shed stepped up. He was really good. Sandro Mamukelashvili. You really can't find one bad thing to say about this Raptors team tonight. There wasn't one thing where I look at him like, maybe this guy should have done something. Jakob Poeltl had a play where he brought the ball up in transition, did a nice little in and out, and threw an alley-oop to RJ Barrett. That's how much this Raptors team was cooking tonight. Even Emmanuel Quickley, who was 0 of 7 from 3, a lot, if not all of those threes were wide open. Those are shots that I just expect Emmanuel Quickley, who is statistically a very good shooter, to knock down. Tonight, he just didn't knock them down. But I thought he was excellent elsewhere. Some of the shots that you saw Gradey Dick take, it was facilitated by IQ getting into the teeth of the defense and finding Gradey. His poise in terms of his decision-making and playmaking was excellent. And I thought he did a good job in the second half of attacking Trae Young on defense and finding ways to finish in and around the basket. And so this Raptors team looked awesome tonight. It looked like a team that is going to vie for a playoff spot. We'll see how they compete against some of these other teams. I saw that Wemby dropped 40. They play Wemby pretty soon. They also play the Dallas Mavericks pretty soon. The Bucks will be an interesting test because stylistically that's a very different team than the Hawks. The Hawks just looked lost tonight. I think part of that has to do with the pressure and defensive identity that the Raptors adapt and are trying to kind of enforce onto teams. I think that will catch a lot of teams off guard during the regular season just because of they play like hyenas. It's incredible to watch. At the same time, there will be matchups that are more favorable for them, and there will be matchups that are less favorable for them. And I think this Hawks team, dating back to, Scottie Barnes' rookie year, Scottie has always played really good against the Hawks. I think this is a favorable matchup for them. I think they like the way that they play against the Hawks. I think they just match up physically. I think both teams really wanted to run today, but the Raptors were more successful in running. I think both teams were trying to force turnovers, but the Raptors were tons more successful in forcing turnovers. And so you got an outcome where it was incredibly lopsided. And the Raptors just looked flat out, period, the better team. That's exactly how it looked. What a game. A lot of fun. It is 2 a.m, so I'm going to bed. But I hope you guys enjoyed this. I will be able to do more Telestrator stuff throughout the season. I know you guys enjoyed that stuff. I'm going to be locking in on these film rooms all season. So I appreciate you guys tapping into the Raptors film room. Make sure to comment and subscribe and do those things for Raptors Republic. Pull Up Trey is dropping an episode, which is live from the Pint House. It was awesome. It was a lot of fun. Again, thank you for everybody to showing up. Thank you for all the kind words. We appreciate your support as always. And we will see you guys later. Bye-bye.